Hi, I'm Fred Eichler. I'm here at the Hoyt Pro Shop in Salt Lake City, Utah. And congratulations on purchasing your new Hoyt Satori. I'm pretty excited about this bow, and we're going to show you how to set it up and some tips on how to get started. But when you open up your bow case, you're going to find your Hoyt riser, you're going to find your limbs, a custom Flemish string, a stringer, and then some other Hoyt accessories that'll help you get it set up. So now let's start with step one, putting your bow together. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is grab the riser, and Hoyt has labeled on each of the limbs, one will say top, one will say bottom. And that's for the top limb. You just hold the riser straight up, and you're going to slide this eye lift system into the pocket just like that. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom limb, and literally it's grooved so you can see exactly where it fits in there, and you push until you hear it snap. That's all you've got to do. So now it's ready for a string, and I'm going to show you the safe and proper way to string your new bow. All right, what you want to do is take your string, make sure it's untwisted, and take the two ends and put them together. And you're going to see a small loop and a large loop. The large loop slides right over the top limb, just like this. Then you're going to take the smaller loop and you pull it down here and put it right over the bottom limb and make sure it's lined up right in the center of the limb. Then I pull the string and pull the slack out and slide this back up on the limb. The next step is to take your bow stringer, make sure there's no knots or twists in that, and you want to take the bottom pocket and slide that right over the limb, making sure your string is still lined up in the center of the limb. Once you've got that securely in the pocket, then you can take this loop and slide it right over the limb and put this little pad. It's got a little flat spot and a high spot. Put the flat spot on your limb as close to the loop as possible on your string. Then all you need to do is step on that and slowly pull up. Now you can guide this to the front as you gently pull up, and you'll see it makes it slack, so you can slide your string right up over your limb and then let it down gently. The first thing I do is I turn and make sure that string is set up right in the middle of the limb. Then I slide off the bottom pocket, and I'm going to double check that that's seated properly as well. Now you've got your bow put together, and we're ready for the next step. All right, then you're going to grab this innovative design by Hoyt, which is for the side plate that you can actually adjust to make sure your arrow is center shot every single time. The unique thing about this side plate is that it's going to help you make sure your arrow's center shot, whether you're using a large aluminum arrow, a wooden arrow, or a super small carbon axis arrow. So what you want to do is take this, and I just want to show you, you've got 30 thousandths of adjustment at a time with different plates. I start out with all of them on, and then I'm just going to insert that right into the riser, right here. That's all you've got to do to get that set up. So once you have this in, there's a screw that comes with your packet right here. You take that and run it through the back side of the riser. I usually make sure it's started with my fingers, and then you grab the Allen wrench provided. You're going to put that in there, and you're going to twist it to where it's snug. Then you can turn it over and just give it a little bit more. There's no reason to really wrench on that, but it's going to keep that plate on the side of your bow, and now you're set up with your side plate. Now, because I like shooting off the shelf, Hoyt has provided me with some nice little felt here that I'm going to mount right on the bottom of my riser. So you just peel the sticky back off, and you set that right along your side plate, just like that. Now you'll notice I have not put on the silencers that Hoyt provides, and if anybody's watched me shoot, I put those right on my limbs and it quiets the bow even more. I also have not put on my string silencers that Hoyt provides that you can put in the string. Now the reason for that is the next step is to set up the brace height on this bow so it's set up for your specific style of shooting. Once you've done that, and again, go to Hoyt Trad Tips and we go into detail on how to tune this bow up and set the brace height exactly for your shooting style. That's what makes this bow so exciting. So right now the next step is to go ahead and check everything and make sure I'm ready to start setting my bow up. But I want to bring in one of the engineers, Doug Denton, who helped work with me on the Hoyt Satori to make it the incredible bow that it is. Doug, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Fred.
And I've been working with you for years on recurve designs.
Absolutely.
And that's what's fun.
Oh, it's been great. I've learned a lot from you. Hopefully you've learned a little bit from me. But, our first venture was the Buffalo that we designed together. And now, introducing the all-new Satori, which we have a lot of cool features with this bow, which really couldn't have happened without your help.
Well, thanks. I'm excited about this because really what we've done with the Hoyt Satori is we've married technology with tradition. And we listened to the customers. Not only did I have a few things that I went, man, I love this. This bow's awesome, but I want it to be a little bit better. So I went to you. We also listened to Hoyt customers and what they wanted. So I want you to help explain a little bit about all the great features on the Hoyt Satori. One to me that's awesome and I think super important is the fact that you can adjust the tiller.
Absolutely. And as you know, you have shooters that will shoot 3 fingers under, split fingers, and everyone's built different. You're built different than I am. How I hold a bow is different than how you hold a bow. But having adjustable tiller can really get your bow to where it is the most accurate hunting machine out there in the world.
And we've talked about this before, and to explain what we mean, when a bow's designed, the center of this bow is right in the middle of where you hold it.
Absolutely.
Right in the handle.
Yep.
Now, if you shot the arrow right through the middle of the handle, then you would want each of these limbs working the same. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So now, and it's just kind of some cool information, but since you're actually shooting the arrow above where the middle of the bow is, you've actually got to adjust this tiller for your individual style of shooting. And like you said, that changes up depending on how you shoot.
And it does. And typically what a lot of people are doing is putting more tiller on top. So it's a further distance between the string on the top here than it is on the bottom. But that allows the limbs to basically work in harmony together with how you're shooting.
Right, and that's what's really cool. And to do that, and I want to show you how easy that is to adjust, 2 Allen wrenches come with your packet. And one, when they get this bow, these limb bolts are going to be tightened up all the way. Not only can you use that as a tiller adjustment for your individual shooting style, but they can also use that to adjust their poundage to a degree.
Absolutely, yep. So with the poundage adjustment as well, for every turn, what you'll get is around 3/4 of a pound of bow weight.
So for every full turn on that
every
limb
full
bolt,
turn,
you're either going to go up or down.
That's right.
About 3/4 of a pound.
That's
but
right.
Since you start all the way in, it's usually 3/4 of a pound minus for every turn you
That's
go.
right. So what you want to do first is loosen the set screw. We have a set screw that's in the back here of the bow. So you'll loosen that set screw, and then you can come up here and start to turn your tiller boat to adjust that tiller and change your setting to get the optimum setting for your shooting style. After you've made that adjustment, be sure to come back here and tighten that set screw back against the bolt, and make sure you really torque that down good with this Allen wrench. That way, during any hunting situation, any traveling, that's not going to vibrate loose.
Right, so even if you're taking your bow down and putting it back together, it's going to be exactly where you
Exactly
wanted
the same.
it to be.
And that's what this system's really great for, is you can unstring your bow 1,000 times and string it back, and it's going to be exactly the same every single time.
For me, this is a super cool feature because most bows, when you get them, that's what you get.
That's right.
You can't really adjust it. But because of different shooting styles, and as you mentioned, everybody's built differently and shoots differently and stacks maybe fingers differently. I've had guys come to me and go, I can't get this bow to shoot no matter what I do. And unfortunately, sometimes it's not their fault. There's nothing they can do. It's
That's
because
right.
of the way they shoot. But with the adjustability on the Satori, you can set that up. Now, in your book that's provided with you, your owner's manual, we've got kind of a rough guideline on brace height.
Absolutely, and it really is just a rough guideline because, as we already mentioned, everyone's built differently. And how we release the bowstring, what type of finger tab we're using, changes how the bow is going to function as far as how quiet the bow is going to be. And with changing that brace height, we do have the recommended ranges. However, if you fall above or below that, it's not a problem because that's what works best for you.
And you know this from the Olympic style because you're unique in the fact that you've worked on both hunting bows and been very instrumental in working on the Olympic side.
Absolutely.
And I'm just going to guess that the Olympic side is similar. Everybody's unique brace height is individual to them, correct?
Absolutely. You know, talking about the Olympic side, the same engineering that I put into the bows that are winning Olympic medals is the same engineering that I put into the Satori. And when I'm referring to the engineering, I'm really referring to how the bow is flexing under load, meaning when we're shooting this bow, I want to control how this bow flexes and moves, because all bows will move and flex on some level. And if we can control that flex, you can have a more accurate, more forgiving bow. And that's really what we're shooting for.
See, and that's exciting to me because I've got a hunting bow. And this is where, to me, I say that we've married, you know what I mean, technology with traditional, because I could go out and I could shoot an Olympic course with this bow.
Absolutely.
But for me, I'm a hunter, and I want the most accurate traditional bow I can have. I want the most accurate recurve I can have when I'm hunting or whether I'm shooting a 3D course. But it's nice to know that guys like you have put the thought and the engineering into a hunting bow that you guys have put into the Olympic side. I think that's really cool. But to set a brace height, basically what you want to do is start in the middle of what we suggest. And then I usually go about 3 turns. Is that standard rule?
3 turns, you're referring to the twist in the string,
correct?
Yeah. 3 turns, whatever is going to get you to that distance of the bow reacting and sounding the best for you.
You just hit on a key point, sounding the best. So when we say set the brace height, once you've put your string on, you're going to want to shoot the bow with the arrow that you've chosen. Hopefully if you use an Easton chart so they know, on aluminum or whether they're shooting carbon or a wood, you should have an idea of what's going to match based on your draw length and based on the poundage of your bow. But for the bow to shoot the absolute best for you, what you want to do is start by taking the stringer, taking the bow down, leaving the top loop on, pulling the bottom loop off, and twisting it 3 times at a turn. That's what I usually do.
Yep.
And I'll go 3 turns tighter, and then I'll string the bow back up and shoot it. Then I'll go 3 times tighter, string the bow back up and shoot it. And then I'll go backwards. Let's say my starting point was 8 inches. If I started at 8-inch brace height, which is measured from the inside of the riser to the string, I'm basically going to take that all the way out to maybe 8.5, maybe even 8 6/8.
Absolutely. And
then back it out the other way. Yep. And I usually have just a piece of paper. Is that how you guys do it here?
Absolutely. Having notes and tracking what changes you're doing is really key, because
imagine an engineer that wants to take notes.
True statement. One of the things too that you just mentioned, once you string your bow back and you shoot it a couple times, because after you relax the bowstring, the fibers in the string basically relax, and then after you shoot it, you have a dynamic whipping of that string that actually will make all those fibers more taut, and then that's kind of where your bow's really settled in. And I found that on the Olympic side, that people that are changing their brace heights and they go off that first shot, let's go off maybe the 3rd and 4th shot of really how that string's settling back into the bow.
And what we're doing is we're just listening to find where that bow is the quietest.
Absolutely.
Where you have the least amount of string hitting the limb, where it's the quietest. And it's great to have somebody even standing beside you, because I'll have other people help me out with that. Oh, that's a little louder than the last time. You're getting better, you're getting quieter. And once you get that spot where it's the quietest, write that down. That's going to be your brace height. A lot of people will write that on the inside of their limbs. That's what I usually do.
Yep.
Like, okay, mine's usually somewhere between that, 8 2/8 and, 8 4/8. You know what I mean? 8.5. So,
yep.
You know what I mean? I'll write that down. So every time I know exactly where to put my brace height. If I take my bow down, if I travel somewhere, if I go to a shoot, when I put it back together, I can make sure I'm right back at that same brace height.
And you take that measurement from the throat of the grip to the string and know that you're good.
In my discussions with you as we were designing this, and I think people might find this interesting, Hoyt has always impressed me because they don't just kick a bow out. It goes through a lot of prototypes, a lot of testing that people never see. This is the kind of stuff that I didn't even realize until I started working with Hoyt. I would just, like a lot of people, buy my Hoyt, and I'd go out in the field, and I'd start hunting. But it's been really neat for me to see the process that the bows go through. And you and me have worked on a couple different prototypes that I've had out in the field.
That's right.
And using them. I actually shot a beautiful deer with one of the prototypes that I was working on, and you and me would get together and you'd say, what do you think? What did you like? What needs tweaked? And I think it's just a neat process that these bows go through. But I do want you to talk about this really unique side plate design, because I think it's key.
So with the side plate design, what we wanted to have with the Satori is we wanted to have a bow that if you wanted to shoot a flipper rest or if you wanted to shoot traditionally off of the shelf, that you could have all in one bow. So this shoot off the shelf system that we have now is actually adjustable. So there's a lot of different arrows out there that people like to use, whether it's a Easton aluminum arrow or the carbon axis or just a traditional wood shaft. We now have a system that you can actually set your center shot and get the exact center shot that you really need to have the utmost performance out of your bow. And how that really works is we have a bolt here. We would unscrew that bolt, and then we have the shim plates here, and you can adjust those shim plates by just simply removing them to change your center shot. Those shim plates are basically 30 thousandths of an inch thick. So therefore, every plate you add, you're moving your center shot 30 thousandths of an inch.
That's how fine it is. That's what's impressive to me is you really can set it up no matter what kind of arrow you choose to shoot. Wood, aluminum, small diameter carbon. You can get this bow set up every single time for your individual style of shooting.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes this bow so unique.
And that's what's going to make it one of the most accurate hunting bows out there as well.
That's why I said I can go out and shoot an Olympic course with it.
Absolutely.
I may not hit anything, but I can shoot it. So let's also talk about one of the other really unique things about this bow, which is you can actually adjust the limbs as well.
You can. So we have a limb alignment system with this new Satori system, which we have 2 set screws here, and you can actually adjust your limb alignment to get that perfect limb alignment to where the both top and bottom limbs are working in harmony with the riser.
And everybody that shot a traditional bow has at one time looked at their old recurve or looked at their old bow and gone, man, it's ruined. There's nothing I can do. It may still shoot an arrow, but it's not going to shoot an arrow like it used to or like it would if it was set up the way it's supposed to. And that's what is really cool to me. And this is where that technology, again, is kind of married with tradition. You've taken, and that's an Olympic adjustment, right? That's
Absolutely.
something that's on all the Olympic bows. So think of somebody shooting for a gold medal, you know what I mean? And Hoyt, I think, has won more gold medals, haven't they, than anyone?
I believe so, yes.
It's amazing. Think of somebody on the line that needs the most incredibly accurate bow they can have. They have this system on their Olympic bows. And Doug and the team here at Hoyt, the other engineers, have literally applied this to a hunting bow. I think that's really cool. So talk a little bit about, if they want to adjust it, how easy it is. But again, I think it's important. It's going to be rare because of the way Hoyt brings these bows out of the plant. They're set up, they're adjusted, they're timed, they're tuned. When they leave the plant, they're ready to go. So it would be very odd that you would have to adjust this, but we're going to show you how.
That is correct. With the quality control that we have with our risers and with our limb manufacturing, really adjusting this is a rarity. But if you choose that you need to make an adjustment, really easy to make an adjustment. You'll actually remove a set screw out of each side here.
Out of each side of the riser. And
out of
there's
each
actually
side.
2 on each side.
That is correct. So you'll remove both the set screws, and then there's still 2 set screws on either side of this dovetail. And at that point, what you'll do is loosen one side and then tighten the other, which will shift the limb and make everything where it needs to be if you so choose to make an adjustment there. After you make that slight adjustment, be sure to take those same set screws, put them back into your riser, and just snug them down.
And we're going to go more into detail on that, again, on the Hoyt Trad Tips on Hoyt's social media, because one of the things, we get so many questions from fellow bow hunters, you know what I mean, that'll say, hey, how do I set my Hoyt Satori? How do I do this? How do I do that? So we're going to start providing a lot of that information, not only from the hunting aspect, but also from engineers, from professional archers. We're going to have all kinds of tips on how to set this stuff up. I'm going to be doing a lot of them, and also we're going to be doing it in the field where we can show you literally what we're doing, paper tuning, for example. So there's a good reason to go check out some of Hoyt's Trad Tips on any of their social media. You'll learn a lot more about traditional shooting. So there you have it, the Hoyt Satori. We've shown you how to set it up, giving you some detail, and you've learned about all the adjustments on this bow that literally make it, in my opinion, the most accurate traditional bow on the market. We've also got a lot of different options. If you haven't bought your Hoyt Satori yet, let's talk a little bit about the different offerings that Hoyt has in the Hoyt Satori, like the 3 different riser lengths.
That's right. We have 3 riser options. We have a 17, a 19, and a 21 inch. We also have 3 limb options, which are short, medium, and long.
And a lot of people ask why so many options, but to me what's great about that is we can fit anybody. We can fit somebody that's this tall to somebody that's this tall, and they can shoot it efficiently. The other thing is you can go from a 58, a 60, a 62, a 64, or even a 66-inch bow. Why is that important? Well, if you do a lot of ground blind hunting, you know what I mean? Or you're shorter in stature, you want a bow that still is going to perform great for you.
That's right.
You're going to want that 58-inch bow. I'm 6'2". For me, the 62-inch bow performs about perfectly for me. I've got a buddy, Randy, he's 6'6". He goes with a 64-inch or the 66-inch
That's
option
right.
because then he's not getting a lot of finger pinch and the bow is performing the best for him. Again, on Trad Tips on Hoyt social media, we're going to go more into detail about what size and what length bow you're going to want if you're looking to shop a new Satori. So if you would, let's talk a little bit about not only the different limb options, but the material, because there's some different limb options out there.
There is. So we have a carbon wood limb, which is historically what we've had on the Buffalo that you and I worked on and you helped design, which is a really solid, high-performing limb that is going to work tremendously out in the field. We then also have a very high-end carbon X-Tor limb that we actually use that same technology on our Olympic style limbs. This limb is, which is right here, is by far my favorite limb that I've ever engineered. It has a bamboo engineered core. And what I mean by engineered core, that's not just a piece of bamboo that we laminate up into the limb. It's actually an engineered structured laminate that we put into the limb. And it is the smoothest, the fastest, the most stable limb that I've ever engineered.
So we've got options for people that want to hunt, that may even want to take that next option and go, I want maybe the fastest, smoothest, or I'm a hardcore competitor and I want to take that step up to that other limb.
Absolutely.
And that would be the X-Tor, right?
That's right.
Doug, thanks so much. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Fred.
it. And this was an exciting project to work with you on.
Absolutely. We couldn't have done it without you, and I think we got to a really great spot with the Satori.
I'm excited for everybody to try this bow out. Be sure to go by your local Hoyt dealer and check out the new Hoyt Satori.